Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to this special session organized by the Century Vibes Global International Foundation to celebrate and mark World Mental Health Day. Each year, this day reminds us that mental health is just as important as physical health and that our safe spaces to speak, share and heal. Today's conversation, which is Youth Voices and Mental Health, and it's about breaking the stigma and building resilience. This session brings together passionate advocates and professionals who are working across sectors to reshape how we view mental wellness. On behalf of the foundation, I am delighted to welcome everyone joining us today, and I look forward to an inspiring, thought-provoking session. You are all welcome for the Mental Health Day, and the Century Vibes Global International Foundation is holding a very inspiring session titled Youth Voices and Mental Health, Breaking the Stigma, Building Resilience. So it is that they should engage in that would help build mental health advocacy strongly in this our generation. So she will just give us the importance and the reason why we are here from our own perspective before we move on to the paneling. Thank you. Ms. Oluwafunke Olayemi, over to you, ma.
Okay. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this important conversation. It is truly an honor to welcome you all to this mental health webinar. As the founder and executive director of DGIF, I am excited that we are creating a very safe space where young people can come together, learn and lead the conversation on mental health. I also want to thank our partners, our speakers, and every participant, the team who has made this time to be here. This shows our commitment to not just talking about mental health, but changing the way it is understood in our communities. As we all know, mental health is often misunderstood, and it's surrounded by stigma, especially among young people. Many of us grow in a society where talking about anxiety, depression, or trauma was seen as a weakness. But the truth is, mental health is just as important as our physical health, and it affects us on how we think, how we learn, how we build relationship, how we tend to solve our approach critical situations, and how we lead. So the first time I realized how important mental health is, for me, it was when I myself felt the need to seek help, knowing how important it feels to onboarding emotional pains, heartbreaks, burnout, hurting feelings, and learning to let go. So for young people facing unique pressures, especially in those critical times we all find ourselves, where our world is rapidly changing due to economic crash, climate changes, war crisis, and all of that. This can all develop into academic stress for our youths. Unemployment is all over everywhere. Social media comparison, identity struggle among those youths, and sometimes lack of strong support system. In their midst, they lack support system. So these are all the gaps that we see in mental crisis. So these challenges have led to rising rates of anxiety, depression, and sadly suicide in so many communities and amongst our youth. But the good news here now is the youth are also the solutions, the drivers, the change that we need. By leading open conversations such as this, sharing our stories and supporting one another, we can be able to break the cycle of stigma. So this webinar is about moving from stigma to strength. It's not just a conversation, it's helping our youth around us and even helping ourselves. It's all about shifting the narratives from silence and shame to empowerment and resilience. It is about telling young people that you are not alone, that seeking help is a sign of strength and not weakness. And that together we can build supportive system that can make mental health a very much a priority in our world today. So as youth, we are future leaders. The youths among us, we are future leaders, we are advocates, we are peer support system and change makers. We are the voices that can normalize these conversations, and heart that helping us to strive. So today, thank you so much. We are for coming to this session with us. We are going to be listening to speakers and panelists. So I encourage each and every one of us to open our hearts and mind. Let's take away practical tools that can be used in our daily lives, whether it is supporting a friend, advocating for a youth, advocating for a school, or on your social media you can create awareness on this wonderful day. And this webinar is also helping us to mark and contribute towards the commemoration of the World Mental Health Day, which is on the 10th of October 2025. And the term of in areas of creating awareness is very, very much important. So today, let's continue to commit to building a future where no young person feels ashamed to say, I need help, and where every young person has the strength to support each other. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ruka.
Yes, Miss Oluwafunke, I don't want to interrupt you because I know that you don't just say things, you live it. This is who you are, this is what you are passionate about, and this is what you have been working on for those of us who are very, very close to you. So, moving on to the next agenda here on our session. So, to begin our panel discussion, I'll be engaging an outstanding voice in the field of public and community. She's no other person than our director, Miss Oluwafunke Olayemi. As you have listened to her, you will know that she's an eloquent woman and an outstanding speaker. Miss Oluwafunke Olayemi is a public health expert, a professional. She's an advocate, researcher, and author, and she's the founder and executive director of the Century Vibes Global International Foundation. She's a passionate advocate for health equity, gender inclusion, and youth participation. She integrates creativity, leadership, and compassion to drive impact across communities. Thank you for this wonderful enlightenment, like you introduced the World Mental Health Day to us, and also introduce this particular session to commemorate and then celebrate the International Mental Health Day. So please, you can begin your discussion, and our discussion is titled Breaking the Stigma, Changing Narrative on Youth and Mental Health. That is what she's going to be talking about. Changing narrative on youth and mental health. Just like she opened the session, she's just going to make this particular panel discussion more elaborate so that we can get areas that we can work on, and we can be on track in contributing to mental health advocacy as an individual, as human beings with emotion, as human beings as human beings that has to deal with psychological and mental issues, as human beings that live in the society, as human beings that communicate, interact, and as human beings that has feelings. So Miss Oluwafunke Olayemi, you can start now. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruki, for that introduction. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining again. Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking on breaking the stigma, changing narrative on youth and mental health. So so as we all know, stigma around mental health is one of the greatest barriers, preventing young people from seeking the help they need. Too often mental illness is seen as a weakness, a curse, or something to hide, rather than a human experience that requires compassion and support, which most people lack in this time and period. We rather see people as a burden, crazy, or not ready to perform. So for young people, the stigma is intensified, by social expectations, to always be strong. They see they see people that, oh, you have to be strong, you have to be successful, or be in control, be in charge at all times. But many of us grow up in cultures where showing emotions is interpreted as failures. So we learn to suppress that feeling rather than expressing it. This can come up in different forms, either in our workplaces, in our marriage, in our relationship, our approach to people, and all of that. So the silence is very, very much dangerous at this crucial time. It isolates us and keeps us from accessing resources that could save our lives. We might not be able to speak up at the required time. So breaking the stigma requires change in narrative. We must shift from labeling to listening. That art of listening. I used to appreciate those people that have come through for me during that era where I was struggling, trying to break the silence, trying to come up out of from my emotional pains and struggles. I really appreciate them, because listening for me is key in this time. A lot of people are having issues that they need to onboarding, that they can't even just share. So, and that can lead to growth in depression and all of that. So from we have to also shift from judgment to empathy. We lack empathy in this era, in this time, especially in Nigeria. We from shame to support, having a support system, either medically, either physically, either financially. It can come in different forms. So sometimes life always take us through series of journey where we become stronger than the crisis or circumstances we find ourselves. So we will definitely need to the right people in our lives who understands what we have faced or have also faced similar situations, and they can also help us to to unlearn. And learning from how they pull through, it can still be a mechanism for us to strive. So youth can also lead this transformation by using their voices on social media, in their schools and within their families, to normalize conversation around mental health. So there's nothing wrong at all seeking help when it's very, very much necessary. Because at the end of it all, we all need someone in our communications, in our space, to communicate with, to listen. When we tell our stories, sometimes we make it clear that mental health struggles are not is not a rare thing. They are part of the human experiences, and it's bound to happen, and the whole experience is still us, and how we tend to approach the whole experience entirely. So as young leaders, we must also challenge harmful stereotypes. Depression. Can you hear me, please? Hello.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, so sorry, I think I
Yes,
lost
go
my
on now. We
network.
can hear you.
Okay, so depression is not laziness. This depression, if it's not well handled, if it's not well managed, it's a whole lot. It can lead to medical crisis. So depression is not laziness. We are bound to feel anxiety is not also weakness. So seeking therapy is not a sign of failure. It's something we need from time to time. It's an act of courage. So the new narrative should be that mental wellness is strength. We need the strength at this era. The youth need the strength at this era, because they are facing phases of growth and crisis that comes to their journey. So we need each other at this time to address their sense of growth and development. So, and addressing it openly is a form of leadership, which I would end on this note. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma. Thank you very much. The panel session is very brief, and whatever she has been saying since is something that we should actually work on. That is on mental health advocacy. What me I believe as an individual, that as people living in a society, as community, as human beings, as friends to people, as family members, as mothers, brothers, and sisters, this is an aspect that we all need to work on. So thank you for this wonderful enlightenment. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oluwafunke
Thank you very much.
Olaemi.
Thank you.
So as this session is a panel discussion, I would like to throw you a question. Okay, are you listening?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead, please.
So, Mrs. Oluwafunke, as someone deeply involved in advocacy and youth development, how can young people take leadership roles in normalizing conversations around mental health? I'll repeat my question again. As someone deeply involved in advocacy and youth development, how can young people take leadership roles in normalizing mental health? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Yes, kind of an important question. So I believe that young people are not just beneficiaries of change. They are drivers of it. So when it comes to normalizing conversation around mental health, youth can take leadership by first embracing authentic storytelling. We all have stories in our journey. So, but it depends on how we relate these stories. So some may feel, oh, if I talk about it, they may tag me crazy and all of that. But no, we all have story to tell. So using our voices, experiences, and digital influence, to dismantle stigma and replace silence with empathy. I have gone through a lot in a short while, and sometimes I may not actually relate this openly, but I use the medium of writing a book. So I have like 3 books that has to do with my experience on Amazon. So these are ways we can also bridge these gaps, and secondly, leadership begins with self-awareness. Self-awareness is very, very important, and peer engagement, that these youths involved with, they can either man you or, negatively or positively. So by creating safe space where in schools, communities, in our families, and online platforms, young people can, encourage open dialogue, that can help others see mental health, as part of that overall well-being. Okay, so like I was saying, young
No
people
problem.
can encourage open dialogue, that can help others to see mental health as part of an overall well-being, not just as weaknesses, like I earlier said. You know, we can leverage on creative advocacy. I'm more of a strong channel to advocacy. I advocate a lot in terms of my experiences and all of that. So, and in this light, we have been able to like create the Century Vibe Global International Foundation, which is also a woman-led organization, youth-led organization, where we advocate as an organization for climate change, things that affect us. Having the collective, innovative demand for climate change solutions. So for me, I think the media is also a channel and a way to, socialize and to shift public perceptions. So through podcasts, campaigns, and social media storytelling, they can influence both attitude and policies, changing the narrative. We can also not forget in terms of collaboration. Collaboration is key, and that is why we are also, putting this call through to everyone all over the world, joining us today. Young people should embrace partnership among themselves, build their capacity in terms of, impact, amplifying impact. It's about moving from awareness to action, advocating for mental health inclusion in educational systems, in our workplaces. We face burnouts and a lot of things happening in workplaces these days that can even affect you, affect your family. So how do we manage all of this? So this is why we have, brought up this program, which is very, very key in our times now. Youth leadership in mental health means modeling vulnerability, promoting compassion. We need compassion these days. There's no empathy anywhere anymore. Everybody just do their thing and, forget. Even the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself, but it is not seen in this time anymore. So that driving collective, accountability is key at this time. So young people need to lead this conversation with courage and purpose, and normalizing mental health as a human, factor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Oluwafunke Olayemi. Like I've said it, whatever she has been saying and whatever she has said and whatever she's going to say is something that she has lived. It's something that she's saying from a place of power and authority, because this is something that she can actually relate to in terms of experience and professionally. So I think youth engagement in advocacy using social media is one of the powerful way of advocating for mental health literacy and all that, because I, as an individual, I know what I've been through in terms of my mental health. Like back in 2 years like as far as 3 years ago, I used to tell myself and I used to tell people that one of the achievements that I know I can really relate to is recognizing the importance of prioritizing my mental health. To me, that was an achievement, because a lot of things will happen. I don't know why they are happening, how to handle them, and all that. But I realized that these are actually problems that needs to be attended to, and they are really mental health problems. And some of us, we don't even know. And I used to tell people, if you don't know that you have a problem, how do you solve it? So this session is 1 hour session, and I would like to apologize for the noises in the background. Yes. So I would like to introduce the next panelists for the discussion. We have three persons for the panel, the second panel discussion. I'm going to introduce the topic. The topic is from struggles to strength, building resilience and support system. So we'll now move to our second panel where we are going to explore resilience, support systems, and real life lessons of strength. So we have Dr. Nnenaya Kalu Ume. Sorry, I'm not an Igbo. I will just try my best to pronounce the way I can. Please, my apologies. So we have Kalu Ume. She is a healthcare system strengthening and social protection advocate. This is the first time I'm seeing something like this. She is a healthcare system strengthening and social protection advocate. She's the deputy director and technical advisor to the CEO at the National Health Insurance Authority (NHIA), with vast experience in public health systems, project management, and disability inclusion. That is our first panelist, Dr. Nnenaya Kalu Ume. We welcome you, Ma, to this session. And the next speaker on the second panel discussion is Mrs. Ray. She is a mental health counselor, trauma healer, humanitarian, and gender peace and development expert. She is a dedicated advocate for youth mental wellness. She focuses on trauma healing, human rights, and holistic well-being. And the third person on this discussion is Mr. Prince Tari. He is a youth advocate and social impact enthusiast. He is passionate about engaging and inspiring young people. He champions positive youth development through optimism and purpose-driven actions. So these are the three panelists we are going to have for this wonderful second discussion, which is from struggles to strength, building resilience and support system. So they are going to be giving us they are going to be enlightening us and giving us more information on mental health. They are going to be telling us things to know and things to do. So please, we should all listen, and we welcome you all to this session, honorable panelists. So you can now begin. Thank you.
So Dr. Nnenaya, can you start? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Can you? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Good morning.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
So apologies. I will just keep my camera off because of the bandwidth. So it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you for taking out the time to focus on mental health. It's one of the things I'm very passionate about. So based on the topic that I have, it's important to note that when we talk about mental it's not really something that we should be bothering about. We have to focus on the youth when it comes to mental health. But in the period, it's a period of a lot of physical and emotional and social changes. And sometimes these things come at the same time or in quick succession. Young people also have their own unique culture, their own way of doing things, and sometimes they are poorly understood by other people. Again, they are used to, and that might also replace socialization. Also designed access for young people is also a problem. So whatever the case, this resilience is really key. As individuals, as young people, the ability for you to manage everyday stressors. How is life, how is Nigeria dealing with you? Now imagine a young person trying to seek for help when it comes to a person who has some anxiety or depression. Now the challenges are many. How does the young person know that this thing that he or she is dealing with can be managed? It's something that can be managed. Sometimes we think it's a fundamental flaw with the person, him or herself, necessitates maybe self-harm or self-loathing or even suicide. How do they know that they can go somewhere for help if they don't have access to adequate information or education and sensitization? Especially when they're in high pressure environments like universities or schools. So we need to do more education sensitization. How does the person also know first? Will somebody not carry my jeep and go outside and tell everybody about it's not better as I keep silent? But then silence breeds fear and isolation and hope communication. And then if I go to a health facility as a young person with a mental issue, what will be the attitude of the healthcare workers? Will they be judgmental? Will they be supportive? Will they say, at least you're small age, sorry to focus on your books? Yeah, what are you thinking? What are you smoking? If they follow malady, if somebody breaks your heart, what are you thinking? What are you tried drugs or something? So there's a lot of judgment within the system. Is there a signboard labeled mental health or psychiatry? Once the person is going in there, people are already whispering, see where he's going. It's like he has a mental problem and he just has gone around. So these are some of the challenges that young people may face in accessing care. But the question is, how do we build resilience? How do we build support systems? And I'll give you a quick example. So I have been teaching children and young people in the practice of a school teacher for over 20 years. And at some point, we had a team that comprised myself as a public health physician. We had a clinician, we had a guidance counselor, we had an event and a finance person. We also had young people, running that place. And so the guidance counselor was very good at picking out young people who may have issues. All it takes is looking around and like spot somebody. The event planner always came up with games and activities to reduce stress. The clinician, the doctor among us could also pick up things, and financial was always bringing up money. And then the young people were also, coming up with ideas. And so we have this framework. Now, what is identify? Who are these kids that are actually? You see a child, the mood has changed, he's sleeping more in the class, he's coming up with the learning techniques, he's not really keeping up with the rest of the class, changing activity, more aggressive. You want to ask why. What has changed? You want to do some background check. And then we also, the second one, intervene. After identifying, we intervene. Intervene by observing, by talking to them. Sometimes engaging the parents. Sometimes also directly intervening. There might be a need that we may be able to meet. Might need some counseling. So we intervene. And the third thing we do is to follow up. Follow up maybe with a home visit, follow up, ask how are you doing with the last intervention, is there anything else you need? And then the fourth thing is to keep up with trends, keep asking questions, what is happening with young people, follow them, involve them in the design of these interventions. And that framework was really very successful, something we still teach to today as we integrate more teachers. It has gotten to the community level, there are rules for parents and all that, and it's something we highly recommend. So this is something that we have to learn. So that care support is important, education is important, financial resources are important, follow-up care, as well as research that you can keep people. Something for now, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Dr. Nenaya. Thank you so much for your contribution. So, as this is a panel discussion session, I would be asking you a question, and I hope the audience are also listening too. So, Dr. Nenaya, from a policy and system perspective, what urgent changes are needed to strengthen youth mental health support in our context? So, from your discussion now, I am asking you a question, and based on your topic, Dr. Nenaya, from a policy and system perspective, what urgent changes are needed to strengthen youth mental health support in our context? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. In Nigeria, we made some progress. We also have the Mental Health Act, which is a vast improvement from the Lunacy Act before. And so what that does is to bring human rights focus and protect people with mental health challenges from abuse, stigma. Also talks about quality of care and community-based care as well. So a lot of things like that. But just looking back to the implementation, people change the clinic at various levels. So looking from the paper, what role the different people are going to play. So policy is there, implementation teaching them to see. And then when it comes to systemic changes, I would like to see mental health integrated into primary health care. Also, existing community structures. I talked about the great organization we were able to integrate and extend it to the community. So people need to own it, people need to understand it, don't shy away from it, don't stigmatize it. So those are the two changes I would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. The network is not really on our side today, as from my own end, it's fluctuating. I don't know if it is affecting other persons too. But this shouldn't distract us from the main aim of this mental health session. It's very, very important. And our next panelist is Mrs. Becky, and she's going to be talking about the same topic from our own area of specialization, that is building resilience and support system. So from our own area of specialization and experience, Mrs. Becky, I'm going to ask you a question so that from there you can give us your own contribution and elaborate on this topic we are discussing. Mrs. Becky, many young people struggle silently. What practical steps can peers take to support each other emotionally? We know that many young people struggle silently. This culture of silence, abuse, it can be sexual abuse, it can be workplace abuse, that is all these workplace and school, maybe a child at home and all. What practical step can peers take to support each other emotionally? That is the people involved themselves as friends. We know we have friends, we have family, we have sisters that are affected. So what steps can peers take to support each other emotionally? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Once again, my name is Becky Okagbari, and I'm a mental health counselor and a gender advocate. So first of all, I would like to mental health. We all know that mental health refers to the state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being. That's how we think, we feel, and act in daily life. You know, it influences how we handle stress, relate to others, make decisions, and see ourselves. How do we how do we cope in some of the issues that we face in our day-to-day life? You know, just like physical health, mental health is part of overall health anyway, and it changes depending on what we are going through. You know, our mental health is strong, we can manage challenges, build healthy relationship, and then live with purpose. But it's low when we feel overwhelmed, anxious, sad, or when we are even disconnected. And then, you know, most times we are actually overwhelmed, mostly when we are being compelled, or maybe through comparisons, through pressure of life and every other things. And then, like our moderator rightly talked about harassment in workplace and all of that. Those things are peer pressures, and then what we face and how can we cope. You understand? How can we cope? So in a simple terms, for me, mental health is about how your mind feels, how your heart reacts, and how you cope with life. One, we'll be talking about how our mind feels. You know, this you know, psychologically, there's a way we program our mental health. There's a way we picture life itself, we picture challenges. Now, how do our mind feels about it? Yes, it's all right to feel sad about it. Then after feeling sad about it, how do our hearts react to it? Do we now begin to react to it through maybe prolonged sadness? Because you know, it's a prolonged sadness that leads to depression. So do we now react to it towards something that will make us to feel overwhelmed, and we are now down with trauma and all of that? And then how do we now cope with it? You understand? How do we cope with some of these challenges? Now, like for me, I tell people, know your coping mechanisms. Know your coping mechanisms, and then, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
we
you,
can
ma'am.
hear you. Go
Please
ahead.
go on.
All right.
Go on.
Okay, thank you. So, how do we cope with some of these challenges, or with challenges of life itself, or to understand our coping mechanisms? You understand? If you are facing some of these challenges, what are the things you do that makes you happy? What are the things you do that makes you forget about some of these troubles? Yes, I can tell you for free that there is no way one can forget about it. But how can you cope that it will make you not to be saddened in your heart? Hope of let me just say, like a way of life, like, okay, yes, this has happened to me, but I need to move on, I need to forge ahead, I need to break out, you understand, from some of these challenges. And what are the things, like for me, my own coping mechanisms, number one is either I watch movie, or I listen to music, or I go out, or I speak to someone. In fact, for me, I feel when I even speak to someone, most times it even makes me to still be traumatic about, like, I don't know how to put it, because when you are telling somebody, that is for me, when I'm telling somebody maybe something that bothers my heart, and the person is also bringing his or her own calming mechanisms, like, hope you are okay, don't worry, you'll be fine, no, I'm here with you, this that, and all of that, and the person is seeing him or herself in my own situation, just like bringing empathy into it and all of that. Yes, at times it makes me feel better. At times it makes me to even cry out. Like in our last discussion, I talk about crying out. When you cry out is another way of therapy. You understand? And all of that. I listen to good music, and I watch movies, and I laugh it out, and that's for my own coping mechanisms. So everybody have their own various kinds of coping mechanisms according to the peculiarity of your strength, of your mind, and how you react to it. There are things that I might react to, and to you might not react to it. So everybody's reaction mechanisms or reaction systems are actually very different. So now let's go back to the question that our moderator asked me. Young people today are silently struggling with pressure, like I said, uncertainty, comparison, loneliness. Most times there are young people that in their home they feel they are not loved. They feel their parents are doing more for their other siblings, like more than them, and they don't feel loved. And most of them also in their workplace, they feel they're not even being included in activities that they are doing. So they feel lonely, they feel there are this uncertainty with them, the pressure is much and all of that. So most times they cannot even speak out. You understand? They just put this brave face because they don't want to appear weak. And the first step to breaking out of that silence, number one, is to acknowledge that it's okay not to be okay. Yes, it is okay not to be okay. And then after that, you are now beginning to have this self-awareness of yourself, that you have that strength. You understand? And one thing with this strength, the strength isn't about hiding pain. No, it's about finding the courage to seek help and open up. And that's where that strength comes in. Not bottling up the pressures of life. Your heart is heavy.
We thank you for your contribution so far. We've been talking about these mental health, how to deal with it. All the contributions have aligned. So we are going to give opportunity to Mr. Prince Tari, and I'm going to ask him a question. From there, he's going to bring his discussion. Mr. Tari, if you could leave one key message with every young person listening today, what would it be? Please, we don't have much time, so I would like your brief and effective contribution. Thank you, Mr. Tari.
Okay, thank you so very much, man, for this opportunity, and everyone, Mrs. Funke, our director, thank you so much, man. And I must say, it's very easy to so much knowledge already has been disclosed. Thank you so much. And I will just want to quickly go straight to the point and answer the question that was asked. But then before that, I watched a movie recently, and there was this lady, she was raped. This lady was raped. And this is someone that used to be very energetic. She's always open to her friends. She always speaks and all sorts. She has this kind of positive energy. But then, during the period of that, she was she was not even speaking, not responding to messages from her friends. She was not being engaged in conversations. And then it would be very easy to point hands at her and say, because she actually did not tell it to anyone, not even to her closest friend. It would be easy to point hands on such persons if you do not understand that if we rather do not understand that such a process, that being in such state, it naturally inflicts some level of trauma on individuals. So I would say on this case that if beyond people's appearance, beyond their conversations, if we could see through how people try to appear themselves. A lot of persons are trying to be very strong. If we could see beyond the appearance, if we could notice, okay, this person used to be very energetic, this person used to be very like, this is like an extrovert and they always want to engage in conversations. All of a sudden this person is kind of reserved. We should be able to tell, okay, there is something wrong. Day before yesterday, being Sunday, I was in a meeting which we attend every week, and there was this lady. Immediately after the meeting, she was walking out. She walked out rather, and then I noticed I have actually been like this. If I walk out immediately after a meeting, it is a normal thing because I've actually always been doing that. But then this lady is someone that will stay back and engage in conversations with other people, and I'm like, so when I got to the house, I messaged and I'm like, are you fine? Because you left immediately after the meeting, and that is actually more like, I was like, are you fine? And she was like, she just had to be alone. She had some things on her mind and she had to be alone. Now, if it was someone that does that every time, it would be a normal thing. But if we can see and try to know people the way they are, okay, this person has not always been like this, all of a sudden you're acting like this. If we could come in a friendly way to know what is happening. So one of the things I will say to your question, man, one of the things I would say maybe to those persons, and even to us, I've spoken to us now, but to those persons, you cannot do life alone. First of all, I would also want to agree with what Mrs. Becky just said. First of all, you want to know your strengths. You want to know your strengths. You want to know your own coping mechanism. There are times you just want to be left alone for a period. But when it is stretched to an extreme level, you cannot do life alone. For those of us that, so sorry, I just have to go from the religious perspective now. For those of us that are Christians, even God did not do the creation of the world by himself. Those of us that believe in the Trinity, he said, let us do this thing. Let us do this thing. And when Jesus walked on the face of the earth, others that will help him with the work. So I would say to young people, you cannot do life alone. Have friends, a close circle that you can share things with. You can't share things with everybody and regain your sanity, because I don't even want to go there now. But you cannot do life alone. And I also am actually privileged to be in a meeting like this and a platform like this, where I get to hear people that have experienced life even much more than I have. So there are certain things that I will get to face now, and I know, okay, I have by privilege access to Mrs. Oluwafunke. She should have gone through this before. Instead of me using my life to try and see the results, it would be wise of me to meet someone. Okay, you've been in this place before. What do you think I do here? How do I come out of this? How do I sustain myself in this? So I would say to young people, okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tari. Thank you so much. So we'll move to the next agenda of this session, which is the question and answer from the audience. So the audience that are listening, you can ask a question. We don't have much time on our side. We just have and in that 6 minutes, we are going to do the closing remark also by the director herself, and I'll round up the entire session. So questions, please. Quick questions, please. I hope our panelists are listening to the question, because this question is thrown to all the panelists, from the director herself to Mr. Tari. Questions, please. The audience, question. In absence of no question, because I don't think anybody wants to ask a question. Question, please. Are you listening to me?
If there is no question, then we can just go ahead. And I think most of them have our emails and our contacts. They can always reach out to us if they want further information.
So back to you, ma. You can give us yes, you can give us a closing remark.
Okay, thank you so much.
Closing remark. Yes, ma'am.
So thank you. Wow, thank you everyone. And we bring this powerful conversation to a close, I want to remind us that today is not just the end of our conversation, it is the beginning of a movement. Each story shared, each insight gained, and each heart touched today is a seed for change in our communities. Let us continue to lead with empathy, speak up with courage, and build networks around us to support that, to support everyone around us. I want to thank the speakers, the partners, the team, and every participant for showing up, not just with your presence, but with the purpose. And together we can continue to turn awareness into action and truly move from stigma to strength. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this conversation. It is a whole lot for us at the Century Vibe. We are grateful for joining this conversation, and I wish you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.